Hello, welcome to our channel UiPath Bots. In this video, we'll learn about if and for each control flow statements. We have covered what is meant by control flow statement and in which cases control flow statements are used and what are the control flow statements or activities available in UiPath Studio through another video. I hope you have already watched that. If not, you can find the link of that video in the description box below. So now in this video, let us know more detail on if activity and for each activity with a simple practice session. So what does this if means? As the name indicates, if, when we use the if we want to control the execution flow based on a condition. If the condition is true, control the flow to a piece of code. If the condition is false, control the flow to another piece of code. So now let us talk in terms of UiPath. If is completely relying on a condition, what you are going to give. So we have three properties there. You can see a condition in if activity, then branch and else branch, which are mandatory to be provided. So you are supposed to provide your expression which returns a boolean value. Boolean is nothing but true or false. So based on that condition, if the result of the condition is true, then branch will be executed. What is this then branch? This is nothing but a sequence of activities to be performed by the executor based on the output of the condition. Similarly, else branch, this is also a set of activities, a sequence of activities which will be performed by the executor. Executor is nothing but our bot based on the condition if it is false. Understood? Simple. We are supposed to provide condition and based on the output we are supposed to provide what activities we want to perform in if it is true, if the condition is true in the then branch, and we are supposed to provide the activities to be performed in else branch if the condition is false. Let's move on to the for each. There are different loops in control flow statements in UiPath. For example, while loop, do while loop and for each loop. We have already covered all these details in our another video which is purely for control flow statements. Now let us see for each definition. For each, you can understand for each, you are going to do something for each item, for each element, for each integer or for each value, right? When you are going to do something for each, you meant to say that there are a group of things, right? Out of those group, which is nothing but a collection, out of those collection we are doing something on each element in that collection, right? Now let us move on to the definition. It performs an activity or a series of activities on each element of an input collection. Now you got this, right? So there is a collection to be passed as input and there will be something performed on each element in this collection, right? This is very useful. This is very useful in data processing. Consider an array of integers. For each would enable the robot to check whether each numeric item fulfills a certain condition. Simple. When there is a scenario saying similar values will be present in a collection, say for example an array of some items, say an array of employee numbers. So for each employee you are required to assign some activities. Say for example you are supposed to increase their performance bonus, and you are supposed to add some hike to their salary, right? These two activities you want to perform for each employee. So all the employee details you are going to pass through the collection to for each, and on each employee number bot is supposed to do certain activities. In such scenarios, we are going to use for each activity in UiPath. Now let us move on to our practice session. Find the smallest and biggest numbers in an array. Simple. Use for each, assign, and if statements to find the minimum and maximum number in an array of int 32 elements and print it. You can initialize the array with this example, this array numbers, or with your own values as long as they are integers. So let us, I hope you got this question right. We are supposed to use for each, assign, and if activities, and with a default array. So there is an array. This is nothing but a collection of some numbers which we are going to use as input, and we need to find the smallest and biggest among these numbers using these three activities. So let us move on to our UiPath Studio. So let me create a sequence. Say if and for each example, right? Let us give annotation. I always say please use annotations wherever it is needed. This is a very good practice while you are coding. In this, we are going to find minimum and maximum number in an array of numbers using if, assign, and for each activities. Then that's it. So now this. So now we have created, let me give you stepwise. Now we have created a sequence, gave annotation. Next, what we need to do, we have already provided an array, right, with some values. So let us declare the array with default values. Let us say declare the value, initialize the value. Got it? So then let us complete until this part. So we are supposed to create one variable which is an array. Array of numbers. So what they said, it needs to be as integer, right? Select int32 and then pass the values. So let us take this. Right? Let me give you this here. Done. Save it. Something went wrong. One-dimensional array cannot be converted to integer. Right, we selected int32. Absolutely acceptable. So it needs to be an array of int. Got it? Gone. So now we have initialized the array. Now what to do? We are supposed to find minimum and maximum number. To find the minimum and maximum number, what to do? We are supposed to check whether we are supposed to take each element first and then compare with something whether it is a minimum or maximum. So now excuse me, what to do? For each element, when we want to get each element, we are supposed to take for each element. So for each activity. Now we are supposed to take one minimum variable and one max variable, so that we will be taking each element into some temporary variable and we are comparing whether it is a minimum value or maximum value. So what to do? We need to pass it to minimum and max, right? Then let us take this to temp. Instead of temp, let us give current number. It will be easy to understand, right? So let us keep that whole process using temp, something like that. Now when I keep this in for each block, it will be keep on repeating, right? So we are supposed to do this before going for each block. Now how to find which one is the minimum one and which is maximum number, right? We need to think about that logic. Now that we have taken the first number, what to say, the array of 0 number into minimum and maximum numbers, just for initializing it. So we should start at some point, right? So we are going to take this value. So both contains the same value now. Now what we are going to do, we are checking if minimum is greater than this current number for each value. If minimum has some number which is greater than the current number, what we can do, minimum is greater than this, that means this becomes minimum, right? Current becomes minimum. So we need to pass minimum value to current value, current value to minimum value, right? That's it. Else what we are supposed to do, we are supposed to check a condition saying if maximum is less than current. If maximum is less than current, that means current is greater than maximum. But always maximum should contain the biggest number, right? Out of these two. Then if this condition satisfies, then we need to pass current value to maximum number. That's it. So after it will repeat the same. Okay, and then output will be with the minimum number and the maximum number. Let us see how it is going to work. So till where we are done until the array initialization. Now what we are going to do, we are supposed to have three variables, that is int minimum number, okay, and int maximum number, if you observe, I am giving a prefix with the data type of each variable. It is a best practice when you are coding. Next, int current number, okay. There is the int. Now our three variables are ready. So let us save this. Now what we need to do, we are supposed to give a for each activity here. What we are supposed to pass in this? We are supposed to pass the collection, that is nothing but an array of numbers, and each item we are supposed to pass it to int of let us take this as current number. So when we are declaring this is of no use, so let me delete this one, right? So anyways we provided here, right, instead of item we are giving current. So each item, each number will be added to this current. Current represents single number from the array. Now what to do before this? We are supposed to assign values to our minimum and maximum variables, right? With what? With the first number, okay. Similarly, one more assign to initialize the maximum variable with the first value, the number at index 0. So now at present, at step 1, both the variables will have the same value. Understood? Now what we are going to do, we are going to add an if block, that is if activity here, and what condition we are going to use? If the maximum is greater than the current, okay. What we need to do in that scenario, if this is greater than this, that means current value has smaller value, which is wrong. So smaller value should always be inside this int minimum, right? So we need to assign current value to minimum variable, okay. That's it. Now what if this is smaller than this? Then it is supposed to move on to else block. Again, we cannot blindly assign this to maximum. we are supposed to check whether the value in the maximum variable is less than current before assigning it to this variable. What does this mean? If the value in maximum variable is less than current variable, then current variable is greater than maximum, right? So always the maximum number should be in this variable. So pass this current value to maximum. Assign in max current. That's it. Now let me explain you in detail. We are going to check each and every number from this collection, and we are doing some set of activities on each element from this collection. So for that reason we used for each activity here. See on scroll on, on mouse over to this, you can see performs an activity or a series of activities on each element of an enumeration, right? So what are those activities? We are checking if the value is, if the condition is satisfied or not. So what is the condition? Value in the minimum is greater than the current value, current number, or not. If yes, do some activity, else if not, do some other activities. In that scenario we are using if block. Now let us see what are the maximum and minimum numbers after coming out of all these activities. Maximum number is int maximum. Okay, let me convert this to string. Okay, and then similarly let us check minimum number 2. Minimum number is minimum. Okay, let us see what is the output at last. Before that, we have assigned something to int minimum and int maximum initially, right? Let us know what are those before performing some activity on this. Start initialize initial values, I can say initial values in int minimum array. Int minimum plus int maximum Okay, compare this to string and then this also to string. Super. Okay, now let me run this file. Come on. Yes, see here, initial values, what it has taken, the first one. If you see here, what is the first one? We have assigned this first value, first index value, to both the variables, minimum and maximum variables, right? Let me increase this for better understanding. So initial values in int minimum variable is 7 and in int maximum variable is 7. Both has 7 at the beginning, and then after performing our logic, after traversing through each element using for each activity, and after checking the condition using if activity, it has decided that out of the given numbers through array, 9 is the maximum number and 2 is the minimum number. Understood? So successfully we have done a practice session. Let me remind you something here. Just watching through the video cannot give you full control on the knowledge of what we did so far. In parallel, along with me, if you open your studio through your laptop or your desktop, and you are supposed to practice along with me. If you follow this way, you will never forget what does this if and for each means. Not only for this, whenever you are going through any of the videos in my channel, it is best practice to do along with me at your end, so that you can easily tweak your interviews. So when you get a session, when you get a question on if and for each, you can easily complete it, that too successfully. Fine. If you like this video, please subscribe our channel and share with your friends and colleagues. For more videos, please do not forget to subscribe and click on the bell icon. Thank you so much. Let us meet through our next video. Bye.